You found us again, another Smart Driving Cars podcast. We're happy you're with us. This edition is sponsored by the Smart ETF's Smart Transportation and Technology ETF, symbol MOTO. For more info, head to motoetf.com. Technical support is provided by CARTS, the Corporation for Automated Road Transportation Safety, a 501c3 corporation. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with the Faculty Chair of Autonomous Vehicle Engineering at Princeton University, Alan Kornhauser. Hi, Alan.
Hey, good morning, Fred, on this, I guess, beginning of a holiday weekend, or the Friday beginning. Go.
It is. Well, Elon Musk has been among the top headlines all week for his attempt to buy Twitter for $43 billion. You got that much spare change?
Well, he does. And I don't know. He's gotten a lot of heat for it, and a lot of people say various things. But if one looks at what people do, I guess they end up spending a substantial portion of their net worth on something. Like most of us, when we buy a house, that's even more than 25% of our net worth. This is only 25% of his net worth. So I guess he can go out and buy himself a toy or whatever. I don't want to call it a toy, but sort of what my class and I have been discussing much of this semester is that really, if one looks at the internet is providing communication, is providing abilities for us to find, as I like to say, the needle in the haystack, or to have a needle in the haystack, find the thread in the haystack, to be able to go sew a button. I mean, if you really look at what it does, but and it's done a fantastic job at doing that. But if one, looks at it, one says, "Oh my goodness, there's some ugliness here." There's reason why, I guess Facebook changed its name, and, and Mark is being asked to, testify. And if one looks at, what Google and search, I mean, geez, I search for something, I get nothing but advertising. And then I search for something else, remember my previous search, and is dumping advertising that's correlated or not correlated. And I go try to read a newspaper online, and the ads are just, I mean, and then you almost can't watch sports anymore because of FanDuel. All I hear about is FanDuel. I mean, somebody needs to shake it up. It's really great, but boy, there's some things in it that are, and we aren't even going to get to the, what's real, what's not real, what's fake news, what's not fake news, what's whatever, what's, and it keeps going the way it's going. I guess people are just gonna, early on, maybe it's only me, I just won't turn the thing on. Elizabeth and I haven't watched the news since November 2016. I don't think we've turned on CNN or Fox or any of them. I mean, it's just brutal. So I don't know. I don't know if somebody's going to take it over. Oh my goodness, and change it, and really, and go for some improvement. I don't know if anybody's even defined what that is. Hey, might as well let Elon do it. At least he has resources. At least, I guess he can't be accused of doing it for money. He claims he's not doing it for money. So, oh my goodness, that's a good start right there, because it seems to be all about, how did it all of a sudden be all about advertising? How did Madison Avenue grab this thing? The madmen grabbed this thing and made it all theirs. How did that happen?
It has
I
a
don't
little bit
know.
to do
So
with
what
a
can I?
little bit to
Hey,
do with money.
well, you always have to follow the money, but my goodness, the good things are done for other than money, I think.
Well, the news business used to be done on the networks without regard to how much profit was being made from the news programming, and that changed years ago.
Yeah, but was it better then, Fred? You were there. Was it better then? I think so.
I think so too.
Or at least we all perceived we love Walter Cronkite. Okay. As opposed to blah, 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 blah. But then they watch me and all my doing blah, blah, blah. What can I tell you? I don't know where we are here. These are really tough questions for which there
Absolutely.
is an enormous amount of money, for which, even if it is 25% of Elon's net worth, uh, um, it's of course enormously bigger than that. And why? Because 7 billion people on the planet are essentially customers. Most of them, I think, or interface with it. Certainly 300 plus million Americans.
Well, Elon does not have a public relations department. Essentially, Twitter is his public relations department and other forms of word of mouth. So,
Well, yeah. So of course one has to, of course, ask some real questions if in fact Twitter is going to be his megaphone, and what he's going to be speaking out on his megaphone, and what he's going to be drowning out because of his megaphone. Those are all enormously appropriate questions. But boy, somebody needs to come in and shake it up. Just in some sense, the way Google came in and shook up search. So that, yes, I guess, it's easier for us to find things, to have the needle find the thread in the haystack and be able to then get the instructions to sew on the button. Fantastic. But man, there's some excess baggage out there.
well, let's
What
move
can I
on
tell
here
you?
because we've got a lot more about
I
Elon to
guess,
talk
yeah.
about here. At the opening of Tesla's, what was it, $1.1 billion factory in Texas, he announced that Tesla will build a dedicated robotaxi with full self-driving and, in his words, massive scale. Alan, in the latest newsletter, you've got a lot to say here.
Well,
Maybe you want to read it to us.
no, I don't want to read it. People can read it. It took me a long time to write it, trying to, really focus on the implication of the statement. I mean, it's just like him putting his toe into the whole internet communication. I mean, you look at what he did. What he's did in Texas there outside of Austin. I don't know how long ago was it that he went in and somehow bought land, got approval, built, I think it's 6 million square foot building, got the stuff in there, apparently got it to work, and is producing something. Do you know how long it would take us to get that done here in Princeton?
Well,
12 centuries.
But it's not just Austin. He's built at the same time. He's been building elsewhere
No, I
around the
know.
world.
Yes, of course. We can. I mean, it's. And you might disagree. Maybe we don't want to build cars. Maybe we shouldn't have done it in Texas. Maybe whatever. But my goodness, the ability to go in. And I don't know. I don't know if he bought off everybody or he held guns to people's heads. I don't know. I don't know how he did it. But to do that, wow. And then you look at, my goodness, looks like he about did the same thing in Germany. And he did the same thing in Shanghai. Oh, but it's Shanghai. There it's easy. You have somebody telling everyone. Yeah, but what? I mean, it's like phenomenal. And and I guess, if it looks the good reason, and then you look at what he's done with SpaceX. Oh my goodness. I mean, and then he then suggests that he's going to get into the robo-taxi business and massively scale it. Wow.
With a new type of vehicle altogether.
Of course, I mean, I guess it'll be reusable and whatever, and it'll land, on the drum. I don't, whatever. I mean, and everybody says, well, he overpromises, and there's a nice video on in terms of the accomplishments of Falcon 9. What maybe it was supposed to do, not do, what it did better, and so on. Yeah, like most things. Look, if you're out there leading, you don't know what the answer is. You don't know what the future holds. If you're following somebody, hey, just that's easy. You're out there leading, and of course you're going to have to pivot. And the issue, and what and I guess why I'm such a fan is that he seems to do everything based on fundamentals. The fundamental value of an EV is that it has half the parts of an internal combustion vehicle. It doesn't have that drivetrain, that drive shaft. You don't have to shift gears. These are fundamental things. You look at what he's doing in space with fundamentals of reusability. I had the good fortune of being at the launch of Apollo 11, watching that go up. I wasn't out there to watch it hit the water and go to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. One and done. And, talk about the cost, the waste, the effort to one and done. What he's doing is, I mean, and holy heck, if that's kind of the basis, the pillar you build things on, then I guess you can have a few little nuances on top, but the basis are. Now if he comes and does robo-taxis, driverless vehicles for providing mobility on a massive scale, oh my goodness, it might happen.
It's interesting because he shifted gears a bit here. He had been talking about for some time the idea of Tesla owners making their own vehicles available for a robo-taxi service when they weren't being used, which sounds like it could have a lot of complications attached to it.
Yeah, of course it has enormous complications, but the fundamentals of it were I think he looked at this here. I'm selling you a car. It's sitting around, you're using it 20, 30, 40 minutes a day. Couldn't that car be providing value to somebody else? And you as the owner, well, you deserve a cut. You deserve some remuneration for that, for taking the risk of buying, and all the, good things that we teach everybody about, the good capitalistic system. The problem is that if you do that, I mean, I would say he assumed people would behave. He didn't think people would use this, some whatever and some scheme and someone, and then just and be irresponsible. And then when he found him, I think painted himself in a responsible corner. Oh my goodness, I got to make this it's got to be perfect, because and imperfect entities are just a few of them are ruining everything. We hear a lot about Tesla crashes. Actually, we don't. There are really few, because there are a lot of Teslas out there.
I'm sure seeing a lot of them.
There are a lot of Teslas. of the EV market last year. He had 79% of the sales in the US. I mean, whoa. I mean, you can't say, and he wasn't using a great deal of government subsidies to get people to buy. So yeah, sure. He may have gone a little bit too far in saying, my goodness, when you buy one of these things, you also can go in business, get some revenue out of it, and so on. Sort of what do or Uber and Lyft implicitly do to gig workers. Hey, go out and get a car, buy it, and then use it to write it off, as a business to provide mobility. And in fact, look, you got a car out of this, we don't have to pay you. They don't say that, but of course they don't say, but that's part of the implication. So yeah, it turned out to not be such a good idea. Okay. The advantage he has, if he really does do robo-taxis, is that he needs a place to start them. And they don't have to operate out of the box everywhere. And so therefore, he can be careful to make it work someplace. And as he makes it work someplace, then expand it. What he's trying to do with self-driving is almost an impossible task. It's got to work everywhere. Why? Because Fred, you, me, we might take it everywhere. And in fact, when we see the way other people sell cars, they show that we can drive them down river beds through snow that's deeper than the deepest whatever, and all this, and doing donuts, who knows where, in sand. They seem to never show it, stuck in a traffic jam on Route 1 here. Okay, of course they don't. Okay, where do most of these cars? No, I don't want them. Probably not. That's not fair to them.
If you think about some of the advantages to him getting into robotaxi's business, one of them, and there are probably quite a few, is the data that he has already and that he's collecting every single minute of every day from Tesla vehicles.
Of course, but most of the data is probably irrelevant for him. If he comes to Trenton and does Trenton, it'll take him 2 days to collect enough data to be able to do Trenton. Okay, you can put 50 cars out there, run around, so on, collect the data. It can do it. I mean, collecting data is not a big thing. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's a big thing." No, it's not a big thing. It just comes in as you use it, as you go out there. If he comes to do Trenton, we're going to have somebody in there as an attendant for 2 years to oversee the operation. So it really doesn't have to be perfect, but it better be perfect when it gets there.
And we're talking about the Trenton Moves project here.
The Trenton Moves, but why is the attendant in there?
Right.
The attendant in there is to make sure that the customer, the passenger, is adapted, is copacetic with what's going on. Okay, it's to get the customer up to speed, not the technology up to speed. Oh my goodness, the amount of no problem. And of course, what I wrote about, if he really wants to do this, he needs to look at what he did with respect to doing EVs. Where did he start them? He started them in California. Focused on whom? Focused on rich people. Why? Because, the fact that, hey, it may not be able to go to grandma's house and back and have range anxieties. None of those people have range anxiety. They have a whole stable full of cars. So it's a toy. And it turned out to be a nice toy. And he got it started, where a toy was good for the people who could pay for an expensive car. And he took that, and what did he do? He built the infrastructure so that as he made it cheaper, those that didn't buy it as a toy but had to buy it as a mobility device could go to grandma's and back. Because the infrastructure out there was with the chargers. I mean, brilliant at the fundamental basis. And then, So I'll argue, and of course I'll argue, that if he wants to do the same thing with robo-taxis, then he should start the same way, except don't do it for rich people first. They have a stable full of mobility systems that they love. That's why they bought them. Do you really think you're going to be better than them, each one, any of them? No. So nobody's going to use your system for a ride, except for a joyride, except for, here's a selfie. Look, mom, no hands. That is not going to build scale. But if you go someplace where people don't have stables of cars, really do need mobility, which is what he's claiming he's going to provide mobility. Geez, what's the competition there? Walking. Hey, Elon, we all know you can be better than walking. And now you offer to those folks an ability to now expand their horizons, improve their lives. They're going to love you. They're going to appreciate you. They're going to sing praises to you. I don't know if you want that or not. Or maybe they'll just keep quiet and internally appreciate you. They'll use you. They'll help you. The probability your success goes to 1. You're successful there. Then all of a sudden, this mobility you're offering to folks who really didn't have much, couldn't get anywhere, couldn't go to a $18 an hour job at an Amazon facility in Robbinsville and punch in on time so they don't get fired, or they have to join a union to make sure it doesn't fire them because they can't get there on time every day, and reliability and so on and so forth. Now you're taking them there and back, and you're taking them to church and to mosque and to synagogue and to shoot hoops and to buy good groceries and to just visit friends. You do that, all of a sudden some people that may have 1 or 2 cars there saying, well, hey, maybe this is better. And then you can even improve it. You improve the scope and the operational design domain of this thing, and it grows. You get to massive scale.
And as you pointed out, massive scale has to start somewhere.
It has to start somewhere. And where to start? There are 100 different Trentons in the United States. Start where, in fact, people desperately need some improved mobility. I mean, if one looks, in Chandler, 70% of the households have 2 or more cars. They wouldn't even know, probably most of them, maybe I shouldn't say that, know how to read a bus schedule, a schedule of a transit system. Maybe some of them never even took a bus, waited for mobility. They may have waited for a Uber and Lyft to pick them up at home and drop them off right there. But otherwise, they pop out of the kitchen, hop in their car and do it. In Trenton, 70% of the households have access to 1 or fewer, 1 or none. Those that have access to 1, I guess 1 person in that household is pretty well off. The other person, can you please take me here? Can you pick me up? Can you do, please? Can we go when please, beg you, please. If there's somebody to beg to. Holy heck, Elon shows up. I'm there. Walk down the street, walk half a block, hop in, you're on. The elevator analogy, sitting there waiting for you. We got nothing else to do but give you a ride. Kidding me? I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
Well, we hope Elon is listening,
No,
watching, reading,
no,
maybe
what?
reading
No,
the newsletter. If not,
no,
maybe he'll
no.
hear about it on Twitter. How about that?
Maybe I've never tweeted. I will never tweet, at least until, maybe Elon will call it something else. I don't know, but whatever, I don't know, Fred. Yeah, yeah.
Well, we'll get it
Hey,
out there on
but
Twitter and we'll see.
again, you know, he hasn't done all this himself. Of course not. It's not humanly possible. But he has assembled, or people have gone to his mountain and worked like hell to his vision, I guess, to accomplish what's been accomplished. It doesn't come out of the woodwork. And so, maybe all we need is one of those missionaries come to Trenton or whatever. I mean, this is a small thing, but for the idea to come out of, to him, I would think that if I'm one of the other, I tend to think there are at least 7 entities out there that can do Trenton. If I'm one of the other 7 entities, and now I don't think anybody ever feared that Apple would come into the so-called autonomous taxi, Robotaxi, Trenton Moves mobility business. Okay. But a few of those folks must be wondering, oh my goodness, this may end up being some real competition. Okay. And is there only one winner? I don't know. Was there to be only one winner in the electric vehicle game? I don't know. A lot of people, a lot of Johnny come latelys there now. Maybe, there'll be some others. Maybe the Ford F-150 EV will make it. I don't know about the Hummer. I mean, come on. I mean, bring back the Hummer. Are you kidding me? Never mind.
Well, GM has a lot of other vehicles coming in. Honda just made an announcement of a huge, I don't know how many billions it was, investment in EVs. 30 vehicles by the end of the decade out there. So everybody wants in.
By the end of the decade, Elon's built 6 million square feet in Austin. Done. Not by the end of the decade. It's there. And as he says, the reason he's building these plants all around the world is so he doesn't have, he can serve local markets. He doesn't have to ship cars all around the world to get them to customers. I mean, and if you're an environmentalist, you have to say, oh my, I mean, where we, I mean, I don't know, but anyway, I'm a fan. Okay. What can I tell you? And nobody's perfect. Of course not. But anyway.
Come to Trenton. So we'll be back. Yeah. We'll be back, but this is a good time to remind you about our sponsor, the Smart ETF's Smart Transportation and Technology ETF, symbol MOTO. To get more info, head to motoetf.com. On the website, look for the white paper. It's called the Smart Transportation Revolution. You'll find it under the Insights and News tab. Great information there to help you make informed decisions about investing. ETFs, you probably know, can be a smart way to spread risk with investments and even focus on a particular category of stocks. The website again is motoetf.com. We are back with more of Smart Driving Cars. Alan, the governor of South Carolina has announced that Argo AI is establishing a test facility in Greenville County to the tune of $2.5 million or so. And I guess congratulations are in order to a friend of ours.
Yeah, well, congratulations, Fred Payne. I mean, I've known Fred Payne for years, been Fred and trying to do automated mobility in Greenville, for years. He's labored and he at least has success. I can't even get these guys to give me a call. I mean, talk to me, and you got them to come there, and congratulations. I hope it really makes it. Greenville is a lot like Trenton. There are parts of Greenville that are a lot like Trenton. And so, hopefully, yeah, I know that that's what you want to do with all of that, Fred, and congratulations. And we're going to have you at the summit in early June, and the big part of the summit is those of us here in New Jersey and the Northeast are looking to learn from others. So we're going to have you tell us about Greenville, and we're going to learn from Greenville.
Excellent. Well, Cruz, meanwhile, says it has expanded its pilot with Walmart in Arizona. They'll be doing deliveries for customers in Chandler, that's a familiar name, as well as Scottsdale. Walmart, we should point out, is an investor in Cruz, and everybody seems to know GM is also behind it and others. So another step forward, I suppose, for Cruz here.
Yeah, no, I think it is a step forward. It's a step forward in, you move people, move goods, move groceries. Again, what would I like to tell Cruz? I'm a broken record. Okay. Walmart. I don't know. I don't know what the residents of Chandler, where they shop. Do they shop at Walmart? I don't know. Maybe. People in Trenton would love to be able to shop at Walmart. If you look at where their opportunities are to shop, Walmart is an aspiration. Now in Princeton here, I don't want to say nobody here would be caught dead in the Walmart, but I'll say most of the people here in Princeton would be caught dead in a Walmart. Not Trader Joe's or sure. Walmart. Come here, get Cruz to deliver your groceries, your things from your Walmarts to the folks in Trenton. Think about it.
Or eventually bring people to the Walmart store from,
or bring,
from
of course, bring, yeah, of course, bring them. And I don't know, maybe Walmart has decided that, they want to be like Wegmans. And, that's an appropriate aspiration. And I'm not, Walmart has done an enormous value to a lot of folks across the United States for a lot of years by bringing affordable products to a facility that at least those that had a vehicle could get there and acquire them. Now, what that says about geopolitics and so on and so forth, and what the source is of all the products that are in there, whether they're from this part of the world or that part of the world, and should be coming from this part of the world or that part of the world, are again part of those deep issues. But what they've done is that they've allowed a large number of people to improve their quality of life because they made affordable products available to them. And that's a major contribution. Now, if that's your DNA, then it seems to me that it's okay for you to do these things in Chandler, but you should be saying to Cruz, hey, Cruz, let's go to Trenton. Because there isn't a Walmart in Trenton. There isn't a Walmart that you can walk to, maybe anywhere. Think about it.
Great point, Alan. There are a couple of conferences coming up that we wanted to highlight too. including one that our friend Jerry is going to be at.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. The conference in Miami is on smart cities, new cities, and so on. And you can roll your eyes about some of that stuff too. But the idea of really looking at the provision of mobility to get people around. And again, if you start looking, and I know that Michael Senna in this next issue of the Dispatcher is just going to go, into what is a city in the United States. It's not a skyscraper. Okay, that's not where people live. I've been sort of asking the question. Maybe somebody out here knows the question. What percent of K through 12 kids live in high rises across the nation? I know there are a few of them that live in high rises up on the Upper East Side of New York, of course. And I know a bunch of them lived in the Puigos of whatever of our cities. Hopefully there are not many of those left. The rest of them, where they live, they don't live in what at least seems to be dominating the smart cities things. These are just kids K through 12. But that's a substantial portion of people's lives, either when they are K through 12 or when they have kids K through 12, or maybe even their grandkids K through 12. Where have they chosen to live? Jersey. Anyway, never mind. Not Manhattan. I mean, one wonders, one really has to ask the question, why high rises? I guess sure, for hotels, whatever, you got to pack them in, because why? If you have a destination wedding, everybody has to stay someplace temporarily, sure. To get people to come to work on a phone or on a computer, assembled in one of those, really? You need to assemble them, that many of them together, to talk to maybe 4 other people, a total distance of who knows what. You bring all those people together, really, to be in a high rise, really? Where'd that come from? I don't know. Who goes shopping in high rise? I mean, even poor Macy's in New York I don't know how much longer it's going to be able to. It's not that high of a high rise. Who desires high rises for what? It's not an assembly line that you're going to manufacture my shirt. It's not any kind of assembly line. Not a warehouse. I don't know. Anyway, they don't like me in the smart cities areas. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. What? So that you can have a subway and justify a subway? We're going to do this so you can justify a subway? Really? Pooh. Seems a little bit whatever. So that's that one. What about the other conference?
Well, you have another conference, I think, that you're going to be at.
Well, yeah, no, I'm going to be participating in that, and that one is with the folks who do accessibility testing, and they're an interesting group of folks, because they're focused on. We've spent basically 200 billion. This is 200 billion on the technology of smart driving cars to date. Okay, we've spent what on the sociology? I mean, zero. I mean, compared to 200 billion, it's zero. But what's the technology for? The technology is for the sociology. It's for people, unless it's Walmart or whatever moving things. Okay.
This is the one that's taking place in Maryland.
This is the one that's taking place in Maryland, and some really interesting questions are coming in that, in terms of not just the mobility marginalized. Many of the mobility marginalized have been physically, because of physical and mental challenges, have been marginalized. Okay. But what about those that economically challenged? How have they been marginalized? And how can accessibility to the system be improved? Elevator analogy again. Sorry, folks.
We're back to the high rises.
And well, put it on.
We need no high rises, no elevators. So
no,
I'll let you go.
But that's just so people can get the perspective. Go from inside the elevator at ground floor up to the 14th floor. Hey, that's the 200 billion. What's been spent getting from the front door to the elevator bank, and from the elevator door to your hotel room? Zero, essentially. Are those important? Well, if your concept of it is sort of Waymo's concept or Uber or Lyft's concept, we'll pick you up at your front door and we'll drop you off at your front door, at the door you're going to, then yeah, okay, fine. Not much needed there. But the problem with that is that if you do that, you don't get any ride sharing. And I guess, ride sharing has to be part of the system. Otherwise, you can't hit affordability. If you want it just for yourself, you're going to end up having to be rich. If you don't mind sharing it with somebody else, then hey, it might be then affordable to you. Plus, why in the hell should we be moving people for just one person? I was going to say there's probably one, the Donald's elevator in Trump Tower, but there are no elevators for just one person. There are no personal elevators out there, except Donald's. They're all, most of the time we get to use them by ourselves. Why? Because there's nobody else. Transportation's demand, the spatial temporal distribution of that demand is enormously diffuse. Most of the time, it's one and done, one person. But some of the time, oh my goodness, people, I stick my foot in the way, and that little light figures it out, doesn't crush it, and keeps the door open. I sneak in. And without that capability, then there would definitely not be any high rises. Okay, so there has to be the opportunity to share the ride. And if you're going to just pick people up at their kitchen door and drop them off at the front door or whatever, chances are close to zero. So you have to let them, whatever, bunch of details and analyses, and we don't have time to go through.
Then there's one other conference we want to talk about, and that's the Smart Driving Cars Summit coming up in early June. You mentioned it earlier. Yeah. But it's really
coming together. Shape. I mean, basically we have all the folks and in terms of the people that are going to speak. The session at Princeton on Friday is going to be, well, of course, I think fantastic. Why? Because the people who are choosing to come and share their experiences and their knowledge, to learn from others is just, it's heartwarming on, big issues. Not some little nuance of a whatever on really fundamental issues here to try to deliver some substantive value to society out of all this. net value to society out of all this. So, we're in good shape, really good shape for Friday. Saturday is going to be absolutely like crazy. It's different. We're doing a mobility festival, and we're going to do it where people who can most benefit from this tech will get a chance to kick the tires and see some of it. We're not going to give rides. It's too much work, but we're going to at least have some of the people who actually want to deliver mobility to people who can benefit from it the most be there and be wanting to learn, what do you really need? How can I help you? Okay. Now, I've been turned down by a bunch of folks who don't want to waste their time with the customer, and I guess want to serve the people in Chandler. Have a great day. We're glad we don't have to deal with you.
And this is coming up June 2nd, the evening of the 2nd, and the 3rd, which is the Friday, and the 4th is the festival in
It's
Trenton.
on a Saturday. It's on a Saturday. And, some of the people with suits say, oh, Saturday. Well, my weekend. Well, go enjoy your weekend. If you want to be enjoying your weekend, you can't be of help to us. Sorry.
For more info, the place to go is smartdrivingcar.com. We want to thank our sponsor, Alan, the Smart ETF's Smart Transportation and Technology ETF. The ticker symbol for the ETF is MOTO. More info is available at motoetf.com. Technical support is provided by CARTS, the Corporation for Automated Road Transportation Safety, a 501c3 corporation. You can find us at smartdrivingcar.com, on Anchor FM, Spotify, TuneIn, Apple, Google, wherever you turn to for podcasts. Your smart speaker can play us too. You can find my tech reports at techstination.com. I'm Fred Fishkin along with Alan Kornhauser. Thanks for listening or watching, and please have a great holiday weekend.
And yes, absolutely. Happy Passover. Hope Elijah shows up at your house. He's definitely coming to mind. And happy Easter to all of you also. And have a great weekend. Here in Jersey, we may finally be out of winter. I mean, we're going nuts.